Hello, hello. We are live. I'm going to give it just a couple of minutes for some people to hop on, and then we will dive right into today's topic, which is menopause and weight loss. So, a lot of you guys see me through my private Facebook group, which is How to Act Like a Pro for First Time Bikini Competitors. And I want to make sure when I do these lives, I am talking about information that is relevant to you guys and information that you want to know. And so in that group, I made a post and I asked you what topics you want me to talk about. And a lot of people requested talking about menopause and weight loss. Some people talked about PCOS, which that of course is going to be a totally separate topic than from today, but it does have to do with hormones. So just understanding hormones in general a little bit better can kind of help you be more informed about that as well. But yeah, we are going to be doing a big deep dive into this. I think it's going to be fun. Anytime I get to talk about something new and it's just a learning experience, I think it's fun. That could just be like the whole fitness science nerd part of me. But we are going to go ahead and dive on in. If you end up hopping in a little bit later, feel free to comment down below, say hello, and then if you have any questions as I am saying all of this information, leave it in the comment section. I'll periodically look down there and make sure that I'm answering anything that you guys have. And then same thing if you are watching this back an hour from now, 2 days, heck, a month from now, same thing. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section and I'll get back to you. So, losing weight during menopause can be particularly challenging due to a combination of hormonal, metabolic, and lifestyle changes. If we want to know how to truly fix these problems, we first have to understand what is going on internally. So we are going to talk about the common issues and what happens during menopause, but then we're also going to talk about the solutions to those problems. So first things first, hormonal changes. That is the biggest thing that happens during this time in our life. Now, hormones are signal messengers in our body. So it is telling our body to do something. So if we think about the hormone estrogen, testosterone, even insulin, those are all signal messengers. Each of those hormones tell our body to do something different. We need all of those signal messengers to have our body flow in a nice, easy cycle. As soon as our hormones start to get off balanced, we start to have either not the right signals or not enough of the right signals. And that's how things can fall off track. Think about like a railroad track. Every single track is a hormone signal. If we are missing part of that railroad track, so we're missing some part of the hormone, that train can easily get off track. So the biggest one that declines during menopause is going to be estrogen. Now, estrogen is mainly produced in the ovaries. So as our ovary function declines, so does the amount of estrogen in the bloodstream. Now, this decrease is going to be associated with a lot of the common menopause symptoms, so hot flashes, night sweats, changes in body fat distribution, things like that. And actually that last one is the most interesting one because if you think about how females hold weight versus how males hold weight, it is different. So as females, we typically hold more weight in our lower half, so in the hips and the legs. Guys, on the other hand, they mainly hold weight in the abdomen area. And that's just because as females, we have higher estrogen, which tells our body to prioritize storing body fat in the lower half. And as guys, they are going to be more testosterone dominant, which their body signals for them to primarily store body fat in their abdomen area. Now, even though we are females, we still have some testosterone in our body. Like, we still need that to be healthy. But it's all about the ratio in what it is in our body. So our estrogen is always going to be a little bit higher. Our testosterone is going to be a little bit lower. That is what will make us a female. Now, as you go through menopause, those estrogen levels are going to start to decline. So the ratio between estrogen and testosterone is going to be different than what it normally is. So even if theoretically our testosterone levels will stay the same, just because our estrogen levels are declining during menopause, that ratio of testosterone is going to be a little bit higher than normal. And because of that, that is going to signal our body to start storing more body fat in our abdomen. So that is why a lot of people, they're like, gosh, I'm going into menopause and I am just growing this big belly. That's because our body is signaling to store that extra body fat in that area. So another hormone that declines is going to be progesterone. This is the hormone that's primarily tied to ovulation. So it's going to obviously decrease as the ovaries age as well. Lower progesterone is going to contribute to menstrual, I can't say some words, I'm so sorry. Menstrual irregularities, there we go, leading up to menopause. So that is when you start to get spotty, you're not having as, on the clock periods as you typically do. That's just because your progesterone is slowly starting to decline. But another thing that can be affected with that is going to be your mood and your sleep patterns as well. So that is when these other symptoms start being thrown into it. Another one, and this isn't always going to be a direct effect of menopause, but it can happen, and that's going to be a decrease in your thyroid hormones. Now, it is very important to get tested for thyroid function just because a lot of symptoms are going to be similar in thyroid dysfunction and just normal menopausal symptoms such as fatigue, weight gain, side effects like that. So want to make sure that you get tested if you're having those symptoms to determine, hey, am I having it because I'm going through menopause, or am I having those symptoms because secondary issues such as thyroid issues are going on? Now, with all of that being said, a decline in estrogen, a decline in progesterone, and even typically a decrease in thyroid hormones isn't going to be the direct reason for weight gain. It is going to be a byproduct. Now, in a little bit, we will talk about how to fix these hormonal imbalances, but first, let's talk about why we are gaining weight through menopause. Does anybody have questions about that first section so far? Okay, I'll check back in the comment section in a little bit. If so, just feel free to leave it there. Otherwise, we're going to talk about what is actually going on, what is actually causing you to gain weight during menopause. Now, the first thing is going to be a slower metabolism. Now, as you age, your basal metabolic rate, BMR, is going to decline. Your BMR is the amount of calories your body burns at rest. So that means if you were to stay in bed all day and do absolutely nothing, the amount of calories you burn to just stay alive and just do your normal bodily functions is your BMR. That is basically our like baseline, our foundation of our metabolism. Now, as you age, that BMR is going to lower down. So even if you are theoretically the same exact weight as you were when you were 20 years old, as when you're 60 years old, your BMR is going to be different when you're 60 years old. And that's just because at a cellular and metabolic level, you're going to have changes. Now, this is where it starts to get a little sciencey, so just bear with me real quick. I'll try to make it as simple as possible. Now, we have all heard of the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, like the main thing that science class really hit home. This is where the aging starts to take an effect. So the efficiency of our mitochondria, so the powerhouse of all of our cells, start to decline. So when that function declines, that is also going to decline the rate at which your body starts to burn calories. Another one is going to be your overall metabolic efficiency. So your body systems naturally slow down over time, and that's just including processes like digestion, nutrient absorption, cellular repair, all of that stuff. And this overall decrease in metabolic efficiency can be contributed to that lower BMR. So when you start to get older, you start to feel your workouts a lot more. You can remember when you're in high school and you are just doing these crazy intense sport practices back to back. You wake up the next day, you do it again, you have no issue. But as you get older, you might go to the gym, you have a super hard leg day, and then the next day you're like, I'm out of commission. Like, you're sore for several days. And that's just because your repair process, it starts to slow down. You can even notice when you get older, a lot of people start to have digestion issues. Again, that's because your digestion is slowing down. A lot of people can start having a lot of nutrient deficiencies. Again, that's just because your digestive tract is not being able to absorb the nutrients how it used to. So all of those things, it just unfortunately starts to decline. Now, another big reason why people start to gain weight during menopause is going to be the loss of muscle mass. Now, this is a major, major one. Like, if you could take home one big point out of this live, that is to prioritize where you're not trying to lose muscle mass, because this is where it really gets people. So if you are between the ages of 50 to 60 years old, you can lose, and this is a crazy amount, but 3 to 5% of muscle mass each year. That is insane. That is an alarming amount. And that is if you would theoretically not do anything to maintain it. So if you were not to weight lift, if you were to not to work out, you were just going on and just living your merry life, you're going to be losing 3 to 5% of your muscle mass every single year. And we need muscle mass, one, to keep our strength so we can actually move and do things throughout our life, but also we need muscle mass to make sure that we are still burning calories, because muscle is going to burn a heck of a lot more calories than body fat does. So even if you are going through menopause and you're theoretically the same body weight, but you have less muscle mass and more fat, you are going to burn less calories. So if we hop back to that same example that I said earlier, that you could be, let's say, 130 pounds when you were 20 years old. versus you are 130 pounds now and you are 60 years old. You're technically the same exact weight, but if you have 100 pounds of muscle mass when you were 20 years old versus you only have 80 pounds of muscle mass now that you're 60 years old, you would theoretically be burning more calories at that younger age when you had more muscle mass. So this isn't just, hey, I want to be stronger. This is, hey, I want to make sure that I'm keeping my metabolism up as high as I can as I age. Another reason why people start to gain weight during menopause is going to be because of insulin resistance. Now, this is a really interesting one because a lot of people start to not be able to utilize insulin how they normally would. So insulin tells our body to store glucose. So glucose is going to be sugar. Now, what is stored glucose? It's body fat. So if the cells are not responding to the insulin that our pancreas is already providing, it's just going to tell it to pump out even more. So now, instead of having a normal amount of insulin, our body is going to sit there and produce even more. And that's just more chemical signals in our body telling us, hey, store body fat, store body fat. This is also going to mess up our blood sugar levels as well. So it's a whole roller coaster of events. Now we know what is going on in our body. We know that our hormone levels are starting to change. And now we also know what is actually causing the weight gain. Let's talk about solutions. This is the part that a lot of you guys are waiting for. Actually, I am so sorry. Before we move on to how we fix it, we actually have one more reason why people gain weight during menopause. And I don't want to skip this one because this is pretty important as well. So you're just going to have to hold on a little bit longer to hear how to fix it. So last reason why people gain weight during menopause is going to be because of lifestyle factors. This is going to be due to sleep disturbances. I see a lot of this with the clients that I coach, and that is they just have struggles going to sleep and staying asleep. And this is a tough one because it's tough to fix because you can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna go to bed earlier. No, sometimes that does not help. And menopause can often bring insomnia or disrupted sleep. And any time that we are lacking in sleep, that can spike our cortisol, which is also known as our stress hormone. And anytime we have high cortisol levels, that can, again, further promote fat storage, but it can also increase cravings for higher calorie foods, and it can also just make us more irritable. Like, I don't know about you, but if I don't have my full 8 hours of sleep, I'm a little grumpy. So if I am going on years and years of not being able to get a good night's sleep, yeah, it's understandable that you're feeling a little crabby as well. Another thing is going to be reduced physical activity. Just because as you age, it's normal to have joint pain. You're not gonna feel as good as you used to. And if you have joint pain and you're fatigued, you're not gonna wanna exercise. You're gonna wanna be more sedentary, and that is further just going to compound onto having weight management challenges. So now that is all of the factors of why we are gaining weight. People are gaining weight during menopause because the slower metabolism with the cellular and the metabolic changes, you're having the loss of muscle mass, you're having insulin resistance, and then also just those lifestyle factors. Okay, now let's go on and let's talk about the part that everyone wants to hear. How the heck do I fix it? So, while these factors can make weight loss during menopause more challenging, there is going to be strategies that we can do to help. So trust me, if you're going through menopause, you're not a lost cause. It is okay. We can fix it. Now, when we look into fixing these issues, it's going to be like a pyramid. We're going to have the foundation that we always have to do. No matter what, we start with these resolutions. Once you do the bottom foundation of resolutions, if that doesn't help, then we can try the next step. And you keep slowly building your way up. So the first thing, let's talk about how to fix hormonal imbalances. The very first thing we want to do is going to be to fix your nutrition. Now, I know you probably hear this a lot. This isn't hopefully a surprise to you, but making sure that we have good nutrition is so, so important. And it's crazy because I feel like we're not taught how to have a healthy diet. So if you go and you live your entire life eating a bad diet, it doesn't really catch up to you sometimes until menopause, where having that good nutrition is even more important than how it usually is. Now, when I say to eat good nutrition, I mean to have a balanced diet with whole foods. So throw out that processed junk. We do not need that. You should be eating simple, one ingredient foods. So think about foods that you can pick up from a farm or that you can get from a garden. So easy, simple, whole foods. That is what I want you to have 80 to 90% of your meals containing. On top of that, we want to make sure that you're getting plenty of protein, especially because we just said that you're going to be having issues with muscle loss. So we want to make sure that you're getting in enough protein to maintain your muscle mass. On top of that, we are going to have healthy fats. Now, we want to have healthy fats in our diet because that is what helps keep our hormones nice and happy, nice and level. So healthy fats are going to be avocado, hummus, olive oil, coconut oil, things like that. And then also, we just want to make sure that we're getting in fiber. That's going to help the digestive tract part of it. Now, reducing sugars is going to help manage the insulin levels. So if you are someone who is becoming more insulin resistant, we want to cut out as much sugar as possible. Just because if we are getting in a lot of spikes of sugar throughout the day, and if we're already having trouble regulating that blood sugar, it's just making that process harder. Versus if we can try to limit the amount of sugar that we're taking in, it's just going to make it a lot easier for that blood sugar to stay more stable. Also, it's going to help with reducing cravings as well. Because if you're constantly having junk food, you're going to crave the junk food. Like, that's just how it is. So depending on your sensitivity to insulin, a lower carb, higher fat diet could be beneficial. So another thing that is going to help, and this is going to be the next tier on top of fixing your nutrition, that is going to be stress management. So we want to work on techniques like meditation. If you are new to meditation, you can do guided meditation on YouTube. You can do yoga. You can sit in the sauna. Just something that is going to help alleviate your stress levels. On top of that, we want to make sure that we are having good sleep hygiene, meaning we want to try to set up ourselves to have the best sleep possible. So if you are having night sweats, make sure you're in comfortable clothing. If you need something light and airy, put that on. If you need to make sure that you have the proper blanket so you don't get too hot, have that on. If you need a fan, do that. Blackout curtains, if you need to put an eye mask on. If you need to limit your screen time before you go to bed, make sure that you're not having caffeine past a certain point. All of those things. Just make sure you are setting yourself up for the best night's sleep. And another huge one, which is so underrated, is make sure you are not just planning in like, oh, I need to go to bed and be asleep by blank hour to get 8 hours of sleep. Plan to have 1 to 2 hours ahead of that as like your wind down time. So that is when you start doing your meditation. Maybe you read a book. That's when you go and you lay in bed. That's when you turn the lights off. Like just stuff where you start to prepare yourself to sleep. Because otherwise, if you're running around, you're cooking food, you're doing all of these things, and then you're just like, oh, okay, I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to go to sleep. It's not going to be as easy. So make sure you're planning in that wind down time as well. Now, that is going to be your base foundation. Good nutrition, sleep management, sleep hygiene. That is a non-negotiable. Everyone should already do that. Now, if you do that and you are still having issues, this is where the next tier, so like the top of the pyramid, comes in, and that is HRT, hormone replacement therapy. Now, a lot of people are hesitant to do this because they think that they are going to be just like pumping themselves full of crazy things, and that's not true. We are not trying to get you back to your hormone levels where you're having your period. That's past. We don't care about you getting your period again. We are just trying to get you back to normal levels where you feel okay. Just because you're in a new phase of life, that doesn't mean that you have to be constantly tired, that you have to be overweight, that you have to be sore and achy and just like living this terrible life. You deserve to get those hormones back in check where you feel okay. And sometimes hormone replacement therapy is going to be the key for that. Now, there are some natural routes that you can do to try to fix your hormonal imbalances. We will talk about that in a second. But the first step that you want to do is to get your blood work done. 1 second, my dog is going crazy. She is trying to get her toy. There you go. Sorry about that. If I didn't get that tennis ball for her, she would sit there and scratch at it the whole entire time. Where was I? Blood work. I think if you're going through menopause and you're having any type of symptoms, I think this is one of the first steps that you should do is get your blood work done, because that is the only way that we can tell what truly is going on internally. Now, when you get your blood work done, we want to make sure that you're testing all of your sex hormones, that you're testing your thyroid, your T3s, your T2s, your cortisols, all of that stuff. You should be getting a full, comprehensive blood panel. Once you get that blood panel back, then we can evaluate and see, okay, this is the level that is off. This is what's causing you issues. Because you don't want to just assume that you have a low hormone and try to fix it yourself, because you might not even need it. That might not even be the issue. So always get your blood work done before you start incorporating any of these things to just make sure you are taking the right steps. Now, the first hormone that we talked about was estrogen. This is going to be a common low hormone for people going through menopause. So if you are wanting to improve your estrogen levels, one thing that you can do naturally is going to be to incorporate more soy isoflavonoids. This is going to be found in soybeans and soy products. So that is going to be one of the well-studied phytoestrogens. So this can possibly help reduce hot flashes, symptoms like that. So eating more foods that have soy, such as soybeans, which is tofu, edamame, soy milk, chickpeas, foods like that. Another thing that is going to be another good phytoestrogen is going to be flax seeds. Now, if you are looking for something with more progesterone support, chasteberry is going to be really good for that. Otherwise, it is very common for menopausal women to have vitamin and mineral deficiencies as well. So even if you are in menopause or not, you should always be taking a really good multivitamin. That should just be a staple no matter what. But if you are going through menopause, we also want to make sure that it is going to have a vitamin D and calcium. That way we are just keeping good, strong bones. Now, let's talk about a second issue that we have during menopause, which was the loss in muscle mass. How do we fix that? Honestly, this one is going to be super easy. Make sure you're eating plenty of protein. So you want about 1 gram per pound of lean body weight. The reason why I say lean body weight is because if you are someone who is greatly overweight, you don't want to do a pound per body weight. That's going to be too much protein. If you are someone who is a little bit leaner, then that's going to be more towards your 1 gram per pound of body weight. Otherwise, besides eating protein, you really need to prioritize weightlifting. If you are someone who doesn't currently weightlift, I want you to set a goal to weightlift at least 3 times a week. If you are someone who is already consistently weightlifting, I want you to set a goal of weightlifting 5 times a week and keep consistent with it. You should be working out your entire body. So in that way we can just make sure that we are at least maintaining our muscle mass. If you do it right, you can easily still build muscle at an older age, but for the majority of the population, we just want to make sure that you're not losing any muscle mass as you get older. And then the very last issue was the loss in energy expenditure. So we talked about from Charlie, please stop, babe. Apparently she doesn't want the ball. Billy took the ball, that's why. Last issue, the loss in energy expenditure. So we were talking and saying that, 1 second. No, sweetie. You were making so much noise. No, no, no. Kids. Last thing, I swear. Loss in energy expenditure. So because at a cellular level, we are having more problems with the mitochondria, being able to have enough energy, things like that. Unfortunately, there's not too much right now that you can do to fix your mitochondria. That is just kind of how it is. But we can do other tactics to make up for that loss in energy expenditure. One of those things is just going to make sure that you get in cardio. Cardio is going to be more calories burned, so that's just going to make up for naturally the less amount of calories that your body is burning itself. Another form of that is just going to be getting in enough steps throughout the day. Essentially, it's just getting in more activity. We also need to understand that your nutritional needs will be different. If you were able to maintain your weight before with 2,300 calories, when you're older and you're going through menopause, you might be maintaining your body weight at 1,900 calories or 1,800 calories. That is just how it is. So you just need to, again, adjust your nutritional intake based off of that as well. But all in all, that is going to be how to have weight loss during menopause and just to understand what is going on in our body throughout this time. Does anybody have any questions? Michelle, yes, you can share. I believe you should be able to share this on your own Facebook page. If for some reason it doesn't let you, let me know, and I will try to change the settings. I believe I have this set where you don't have to be a member in my private Facebook group, so you should be able to share it anywhere. Ashley says, thank you. No problem, Ashley. Glad that you were able to see this. Awesome. Okay, so it looks like I explained that pretty well. Nobody has any questions so far. But if you are someone who is struggling with menopause and you need some help and support, let me know. I'm more than happy to help guide you throughout this time. We can talk about testing. We can talk about how to adjust your training and your nutrition to help you throughout this time. Just shoot me a DM through Facebook Messenger, and then we can set up a time for a free consultation and then get a plan going for you. But other than that, again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you found this helpful, make sure you share this, make sure you like it. And then also if you know someone who's going through these issues, tag them in the comments below. So then that way we can just spread the information, because I feel like this is something that everyone going through this time in their life should know about. We should be informed of what's going on inside of our body, but a lot of people just don't know what's going on. So this will help out a lot of people in just being more aware. Otherwise, again, thank you guys so much, but I will chat with you guys later. Bye.